Love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage.
Relationships, they do take work, and a lot of that work comes from knowing how to communicate. Starr Calo-oy is back with tips on creating intimacy just by communication. Sounds simple, but a lot of us don't do it well.
That's right, that's right. Well, we let our emotions get the best of us.
Yes. Well, welcome back, Starr. Welcome back. We're talking about authentic communication, the key to warmth in your marriage. Okay, define that for me. Why do you say that?
Well, everything's based on communication. Ever since the dawn of man, we communicate in different ways, and it depends on the way that we communicate as far as how it's going to set the mood for our intimacy.
Okay, and there are some negative parts of communication, especially the ones that do destroy intimacy.
Yes.
The first one, let's start off with withdrawal.
Yes, that's where the person pouts. Most of the time women do the pouting. Some men pout too, but there's women, they pout and they just aren't going to talk. I'm not talking to you. You're not even here, or they're acting like they're not here. Men will crawl into their cave and just act like everything's all right, or they'll ignore their spouse. Well, that destroys intimacy. There's not going to be an intimate evening that evening. Exactly.
And that's with withdrawal, but what about aggression?
Well, aggression has to do with the screamers. People who scream, yell, hurl insults and threats. And,
oh my goodness.
And they're not necessarily the ones that are physical. That's a different type. But the aggressive nature is all verbal, but it can get pretty loud.
Wow. And sometimes people say, you know what, it's best that I don't say anything right now. Just breathe and then let's communicate. Okay. Passivity, I mean.
Right. Well, that's to where they are quiet. They may be very, very stubborn, but they're not going to say anything. They don't want any conflict. They don't want any arguments. They don't want to do anything even to resolve the situation. They may even say yes, yes, yes when they're feeling no. Everything builds up inside of them, and it can be internalized and cause health problems later.
Yeah, exactly. And then what about assault?
Oh, assault is physical.
Physical?
That's
is that what
where
you mean?
It's loud and violent, and there's hitting and kicking and punching, and there's things thrown in the house and things like that. All these are very negative forms of communication. And then, of course, there's addictions. Addictions have a whole different meaning, Eileen, the way that it's communicated. For example, there's hiding, and there's lying, and there's arguing, there's self-justification. All of those things cause intimacy to die in a relationship. So we're going to cover all the negative things first of all, and then we talk about what we can do to make it positive. But we have to address these negative issues because it isn't always hearts and butterflies in the air. And we have to know what we're facing in order to know how to change. Remember, like we always say, if you want change in a relationship, you have to be the one to change. And the only way change can occur is when the pain of the way things are is greater than the pain of change, then you change.
I see.
It can be more painful to just stay the way things are. Even though it feels like a rut and everything else, you just can't take it anymore, you can't stand it. That's more painful than the pain to change.
If you just let it slide and not do anything about it.
That's right. We're lazy, you know. We have to get up and do something different. We have to change, and we have to stop blaming everyone else. Many times there's the blame and shame game, and it's pointing of the finger, and hey, it's your fault, everything is your fault, and it's not. You look in the mirror. That's where it starts. You have to be the one to change.
So in order to have a good relationship, you really do have to have that communication.
Yes,
in order to create warmth. And so some tips on creating good communication are be empathetic.
Yes. You have to, if you're with your spouse, be empathetic, understand, try to put yourself in their place to where you're showing love and concern, understand, and walk a couple miles in their shoes.
And then also be a good listener.
Yes.
Gosh, that's so important.
That's right.
So
and even
important.
a good communicator is being a good listener and listen and say, are you saying this and this and this, and then let them repeat it back to you. If you do that, then that's being a good listener. It's showing them you care because you're listening. Use eye contact. Don't be doing something else or opening mail or reading the paper or flipping, looking around them to flip the.
Yes.
You know, you've got to listen, focus. Say everything else doesn't matter, just you matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even if you say you're right, don't say it.
That's right. I mean, even if you think you're right, that's right. I mean, you may be right about everything, but don't keep on acting like you're the right one and they're the wrong one. That's not the way to communicate. If you want intimacy in your relationship, then you've got to be gentle. And I mean, that's the way that Jesus was. He was gentle and kind and loving. That's right.
Let's not forget also show appreciation.
Yes, that's right. We need to appreciate the good things. There is bound to be something good about your spouse. You can look for it. Right. It's there. And praise them for those things. Begin to put more emphasis on the positive rather than the negative.
Yeah, because then that really does contribute to negativity in a relationship, and it really kind of cools it down.
Yes,
it does not create any warmth or intimacy in your relationship. And so you do have Marriage 101 classes available, and anybody can join anytime.
That's right, anytime.
Up until October 1st.
And then we take a 2-week break and we'll start it all over. More classes. So not even a repeat.
There are breaks involved here in the Marriage 101 classes. Okay, so if you'd like to register now, here's a phone number. It's 210-521-8668. You can also log on to their website. It's marriage101.net. Again, join the class anytime. They take a 2-week break, and then we do it all over again. Because it's always work.
That's right.
Relationships do take work. Don't forget also that they are on the radio every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. It is Starr and Bob Calo-oy for One Good Hour.